This is the Marquee event, and we are talking about art and psychedelics. My name is Kat Walsh. I'm the founder of a psychedelic podcast called Trip on This. I'm the unofficial MC here at the Marquee events. I'm going to be DJing tonight. I'm going to be moderating. So you're going to be like, girl, get off the stage, right? No, I'm just kidding. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. But we have a lot of fun stuff today, and it's going to be different because we're going to have performances, we're going to have talks, we have sampling. There's a lot of really interesting, actually interactive experiences to have here today. So before I get into that though, I have a lot of announcements. So just hang in there with me, okay? Because many of you probably heard them, and others, this is all for you, okay? So the first thing I want to mention is the District 216 posters. These posters were actually created for this event, and that artist is here now. Daniel Salzberg of Dan Village. Is he here right now? Yes, can you guys see this? Yes. If you guys dig this poster, you want to remember this night, he's actually signing 100 of these posters that you can buy inside at the District 216 event, inside at their booth. So definitely check that out if you want to remember this night. This is an alcohol-free venue, but that doesn't mean we're not going to have fun. So we have back here 2 elixir bars. Be sure to find Teddy at Sunstone Cannabis, where they're going to have actual cannabis beverages. And then behind us, for Golden Path, these are actually microdose mocktails. Okay, so they're 50 milligrams or 0.05. So just as everyone knows, we're sampling in here, so go slow, but enjoy. Dinner and a show. I'm going to talk to you about the run of show a little bit. Right now is dinner. Has everybody had a chance to have dinner? And if not, this would be a good time to grab it. We're going to have dinner now, and then we're going to get into a fireside chat. We're going to get into a panel, and then there's going to be live music. We also have Michael Strauss in the back, who's going to be doing some dope visual projections, as you can already see behind me. It's going to be happening all night long and also during the performance. We also have 5 visual projector people here. So if you actually look around, everywhere you look, it's going to be a trippy vibe. Right. Still with me? All right, cool. Upstairs, if there's any cannabis-friendly people here, we have the Terpene Lounge that is upstairs right here with Golden State Canna is our sponsor. So if you want to go sample some of these terpenes upstairs, meet a new friend, that is a great opportunity. And then find your way over into this area where there are 2 different chairs. Remember I was talking about that experiential thing? So if you want to get somatic, there's something called a zero-gravity shiftwear chair, where basically there's 18 microprocessors, control drivers, that sends pulse pressure throughout the body. What this does is it helps us reset our nervous system, reduce inflammation and pain, and restore sleep function. And I can only imagine if we are sampling tonight, there's a lot of new neuroplasticity, so any type of opportunity to lower our cortisol levels will probably stick. You know what I mean? And the second one is the breathing chair. This is by SB Cast, and it measures and amplifies our participants' breathing pattern. So this is detected by actually the gravity of the chair, and the amplified signal is directed to control the movement of the fans, sounds, and lights. So after the Terpene Lounge, after some samples, it might be a really interesting experience. The inside sponsors, as you're going to see, we have so many great sponsors here that are making the party more fun. And these are all quality people. And that was one of the things that Jacob he doesn't just take on a sponsor, these are all people that he would personally have for himself. So big shout out to Conscious Body, Cosmic Space Bears, Champion, Divine Gift, Entheo, Insight Elixirs, Nootropics, Friend, and Spirit Spore. Now, outside, if anybody's interested in actually growing their own mushrooms, you also have that opportunity because Mushroom Bag Depot is right over here, in which you can actually get your own kit and start to grow your own mushrooms. And if you're feeling like you just need some hands on you, that probably came out totally wrong or what? Sun setting, you guys, consent, I don't know. Dream Bear Healing, though, is here to massage. There's a massage table here. I believe Dream Bear is over at this section, so for real, if you really want some hands on you, that is an option for you tonight. Memberships and VIP bags. This is a really good night to become a member if you are interested. Not only because there are dope gift bags with a ton of generous samplings from our sponsors, they're actually also giving 10% off on an annual membership tonight. So if you head over to the booth, you can actually use the QR code and get a special code specifically tonight. So if you are inspired, if you know you want to hang out with more like-minded people often, definitely check that out. Okay, Reality Sandwich. Have you guys ever heard of Reality Sandwich? Anybody in here? It's a really cool psychedelic blog. Like, it's a really, like, if you were ever looking for like a cool type of mushroom to have, or like the new innovation of just like trip tips, it's a great one. And they're actually the official media partner now here at District 216. So when I saw this partnership, I was like, that is so cool, because they've been in this game for a very long time, doing God's work, you know, like really helping the people before everybody was talking about psychedelics. So Reality Sandwich, they're going to be back here, and the panelists will be back there as well. So if you want to talk to any of our panelists later, they will be back there asking questions. Art. We're here for art. And LoDo Studios they have been already celebrating art here, local Santa Barbara artists, for a very long time. If you've been here before, you know that it was always pretty trippy. But specifically for tonight, it is actually decked out with all of the artists' work that is here tonight. So as you are here listening to the artists, you'll actually be able to connect with their work in real time. So we've got Orielle Anais. Her beautiful human form collection is hanging in the gallery inside. She'll also talk about it a little bit when she's up here. We've got Carlos Grasso. His paintings are in the conference room, and this cool garage space right here. If you guys haven't been in there yet, definitely check that out. We've got Marco Pinter's kinetic paintings hanging inside in the curved wall, so it's kind of like back around in the kitchen. We've got Sam Sharman's lit up painting on the easel upstairs in the lounge. It's by the entrance. Like I said, it was by the entrance, so right when you walk in, to the left. That is her work. We have Dave Zaboski, who will be live painting down here. We've got Alterbeast Experience Lab and the Decelerator Lightsmith Visuals. They are incredible, doing lighting design and projections all over the space. We've got the dynamic map nerd duo Udite for their psychedelic improvisational projection mapping, and their Big Peeps green screen projection over here. And you guys, it's so interesting. You can actually go and dance in front of it. So you see what's happening right here? That's a person that's here. I can't tell you exactly who that is, but you can go over in that green screen and like get some moves going, and you'll be up there. So if you guys have ever seen remember the Silhouettes? I'm gonna date myself. Remember like 20 years ago, the Silhouettes, like dancing in the club? This is like the closest thing to it. All right. And then finally, I just wanna thank Michael and Brian of Full Moon Audio for making us all sound awesome on the stage. Thank you, Brian. Right after this, I'm gonna bring up Jake Patel. He's gonna give a couple more announcements, and then we're gonna go into a fireside chat. We're gonna have a performance by Sam Sharman. Then we're gonna go into the panel. We're gonna have some snacks. And then we're gonna have live music starting at 8 o'clock with Torkum G. And then I'm going to DJ a set starting at 9 p.m. So it's gonna be fun, yeah. And the final note, I just wanna invite everyone, this is a new thing, but like I was mentioning, we're sampling tonight, and if you've been around this space, you know about set and setting, right? And intention setting. And so we're gonna take just a few minutes, everyone together, to set an intention for yourself that you want to experience here tonight. I invite everyone to start taking a few deep breaths in through your nose. And out through your mouth. Again, in through your nose. And out through your mouth. And just begin to think about, what would you like to experience here tonight? Is it fun? Is it connection? Do you want to learn? Whatever that is. And then as you're thinking about what you want the intention tonight to be, what would you also like the rest of this year to be for yourself? We've got about a month and a half left. There's been a lot of change, but oftentimes we begin to start thinking about what we want to potentially change, transform, and where we want to put our attention next. So I invite everyone to just take a few minutes and think about, how do you want to feel for the rest of this year? And then finally, I invite everyone to just send that blessing out to somebody in your life, whether they're having a good time, somebody you love, whoever pops into your head first. If you're like me and you can't decide on one person, send it out to as many that comes into your mind and send them their love. See if you get a text message later, be like, are you there? What? I feel you just like popped in my head. You're like, pray for you, girl. I invite everyone to bring that person into their heart, their mind.
Yes. Saying towards the fire. So you're saying.
It's good to be alive. And it's good to be here. So thank you so much. And now I invite up Jacob Tell for a few more announcements, and then we're gonna get the show on the road, okay? All right, let's do it.
All right, everyone. Thank you all for being here. It looked like there was about maybe 30-40% first timers. This is our 7th Marquee event, and we started in January of 2023. So I appreciate everyone being here. And I have to give one more shout out to Dan for the awesome artwork. Just come on. This is by hand. He's doing this on an iPad by hand. He's coloring it. Unbelievable. And then Oniracom and my marketing company, my day job, MindClay, and our graphics team took all that artwork and made all the fun collateral that you guys are seeing, like this slide right here. So thank you to everyone who put in so much into this event to make it happen. All the sponsors, all the partners, LoDo Studios here. This place is for rent. If you guys have really cool events you want to do, come talk to me later. Again, 7th Marquee event. So we're going to be talking about what is the connection between art and psychedelics a little bit. I wanted to set the framework because the panelists are really the experts, but from my perspective, there are commonalities and intersections. For those of you who don't know much about District216, I just want to go back to like kind of what and why. So we are centered around community healing, learning, and consciousness expansion through art, music, cannabis, and psychedelics. So for us to have been able to do a music and psychedelics event in the spring, and now the art and psychedelics in the fall, we're taking those 2 boxes here of 2 of our 4 what we call pillars of content. So everything that you might see on a Wednesday night or at a Marquee event will be focused around these things: wellness, healing, consciousness, etc. So there's 5 points I want to bring up about this intersection, these commonalities of art and psychedelics. First of all, we're in a very interesting new chapter here. We'll see what happens. So all I can do is what I can control, and all I can do is create community and have you guys come. So hopefully you have a good time and we can focus on being present in the moment here. This is really the concept of shared humanity. There's 3 themes that really we experience quite profoundly within the framework of making and creating an experience and digesting art, and also having psychedelic experiences, whether that's recreationally, therapeutically, ceremonially, in community. And this is, emotions, struggles, and dreams. This is our collective humanity. Secondly, there art and psychedelics, both as a creation of a unified force. So people coming together and collaborating regardless of differences as an act of hope and resilience. I think one thing about all the change we're going to be experiencing is that we are resilient. And when we come together in community and we can communicate and we can be more empathetic, I think we have a chance. Third, healing wounds. The tools for healing individuality, for healing individually, as well as generationally, and as well as societally. Communities find common ground and process collective trauma. So both, again, seeing art in a public place, if you go put on the 3D glasses and check out Carlos's immersive room there, all the way to a psychedelic journey that you might do with a partner or with a group. We can process collective trauma. Fourth, we're building connection and integration. So these complex feelings and thoughts that we process through art experience, through psychedelic experience, we are meaning-making machines, right? And so as a means to connect, reflect, and integrate, we have this opportunity. I hope that siren's not for us. We'll see. And then fifth, last but not least, these are portals for transformation. So we can foster our creativity, transform consciousness, and illuminate paths for empathy and collective action. And I just want to kind of focus one more time on that concept of empathy. Really, when we do these roundtables here once a month that we call Conscious Connections, we've set this groundwork for it being a safe place, things that are shared stay in the room. But one of the greatest elements that was brought in by one of our members from the Lakota tribe was to listen from the heart and speak from the heart. And so we really try to emphasize that and make sure that there's a safe container in there for people to feel heard and seen. So, with that said, tonight we'll have a fireside chat and a panel, and it will probably touch a little bit more and go deeper into some of those themes. I also want to give a quick shout out to Golden Path back there. I'm starting to feel this microdose mocktail, so hopefully that goes well. I did tell them to make it a double, so thank you for that, Eli. So 22 months since we launched. I love giving the visual because that's a lot of events, but the first year, 2023, we ended up doing 55 of these events, mostly Wednesday nights. We've done some workshops, weekend workshops. We've had Torkum, who's going to perform tonight here for a microdosed music sound bath experience out here in the parking lot. So we've done some really cool stuff. And then this year, we're at 51 events so far. So tonight makes 107 in 2 years. So thank you to everybody who has enabled my addiction for producing events. I appreciate you all for that. Thank you. So what's coming up? I got to plug Wednesday because Wednesday's going to be awesome. We have Dr. Tom Pinkson coming here, and in this area, I call it a parking lot. We've got to rebrand it to like, I don't know, something cooler than that. But he's going to have a fire circle out here, and we're going to listen and learn about various pieces of wisdom. He has lived and grown up in various tribes in Mexico and has worked with various plant medicines. And while this will not be a medicine night, we will be calling in that energetic. So come on Wednesday if you'd like to experience Dr. Tom Pinkson. I'm excited for this one. And one other thing, this is my shameless sales plug, I'm throwing that out there now. With your programs, there's a little card in there for 10% off. We are offering, I don't want to say we're pre-Black Friday, but we kind of are. We're doing a holiday 10% off annual memberships. So I just want to explain real quick the online membership versus the in-person. So for the online memberships, this is really going out. We've got members now in South America, internationally. It's really cool. So people really in any English-speaking geographies in the world that are of the consciousness, mindfulness, psychedelics interest can come in and, check out articles, communicate with one another, and all of this content here. I think 75 of the 107 events we've filmed, we've edited, and they're about 1 to 2 hours in length. So this is long form interviews and discussion panels that all get posted into this online platform. And so you can pull them up and watch all sorts of folks that have come in from around the country to do their talks. It's pretty cool library that's growing every month. Shout out to Luke Archer who edits all of that. He's actually standing on that camera right there. Thank you, Luke. And the other thing that we've recently added with our partners Journey Ohm is a psychedelic concierge service. This is new from the last time we did this Marquee event. So now we have a third party that we vetted who vets seekers and vets guides or facilitators and makes a match. So if you're in a certain geography and you're looking for a certain type of medicine experience or therapeutic experience, I want to do a 5-MeO DMT journey and I'm in the Bay Area, then this concierge service can help with that. They're amazing people and they're actually going to be coming here in January to do a presentation. So I'm excited for them to come. Then our district house memberships. This is really the Wednesday night only. A lot of folks come here. We do all sorts of different formats. Again, interviews. This is what the fireplace looks like when it's inside. Shout out to Colin who just redid our beautiful fireplace too. Give Colin a round of applause. Come on. Amazing. He set up Carlos's installation in there. We got our 216 painted from black to white. It looks so great. Thank you, Colin. And we do roundtables. We've got workshops. We do documentary screenings. And so, yeah, come check it out. We try to mix up the format. If you have someone in mind that wants to be a speaker, if you want to be a speaker, we have a process for that as well. If you want to run a workshop, please talk to us. We'd love to hear your ideas. And then last but not least, our Marquee memberships also include the Marquee events. And I think you know what it looks like when Kat Walsh is up DJing. That'll be later tonight. I'm excited to have her back. So tonight, one more time on the run of show, I know that Kat already told you, but I like to give a little visual. We're gonna have the Fireside Chat here in just a moment. Dave and Samantha are gonna come up, and it's pretty cool. We've got different genders, different generations, different mediums, different perspectives are gonna be talking about art and consciousness, so very excited to have them. And then Samantha's going to perform music. She also has some art inside. And then we're gonna have our discussion panel, which Kat is going to MC. We have JoAnn, we have Orielle, we have Marco, and we have Carlos. So you'll see them soon, and you'll be able to ask some questions too. We'll have a little audience Q&A. After that, get rid of these chairs, make a dance floor, and enjoy Torkum, and enjoy Kat. So that's it. That's what we got in store. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate you all. Thanks to this community. Let's get the Fireside Chat up here. Dave and Sam.
Hi, Sam.
Well, hey there, Dave.
Hi, y'all.
Are we just diving in? We're just diving in, right? Yeah. So I'll just do my little Virgo rising note of what we're going to cover today, and then we'll dive in. So Dave and I came up with our own unique definition of what psychedelics are. So we're going to provide that, and then tell you what our own psychedelic tools are, and then kind of thread that through to then the process of sharing it, and then having you receive the psychedelic medicine through the art. So that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, excellent.
Do you want to start with our definition?
Right. So this is a conversation on art and psychedelics. And so, we know what art is. What are psychedelics? And I think that just to give a little bit of context on that, we think about psychedelics, there's going to be a lot of different definitions on it. But basically, essentially, it's a tool to access non-ordinary reality. So whether it's a painting, music, medicine, what it is an opportunity for us to open some doors. So that's sort of where we're starting with context. And then why is art and psychedelics? Why the topic of art and psychedelics? And also, why am I up here talking about it with Sam? So, we're a couple of professional artists to start with. Maybe you talk a little bit about like how it applies in your life. Like what, one of the things that we talked about is that before we got up here was to talk about how there's this evolution towards medicine. So now we're talking about these things that we used to party with, and now there's a kind of mystic aspect to it, or a sacred aspect to it. I love what Kat did at the beginning to kind of ground us. We are not part of a particular religion or spirituality, but we recognize the power of process and the power of ritual and structure to be able to access these sort of mystical places. And so art is one of the tools that we use to access those mystical places. How do you use these things that we call medicines now for the art that you make?
Yeah, so I will tell you the psychedelics that I commonly use. Big pot smoker here. What's up? 420 in the house. I love using subtle medicines. I love taking microdoses for focus. I love taking LSD in the right context, especially if I'm dealing with visual art. I feel like mushrooms is more music for me and LSD is more visual art for me. So it kind of depends on my intention. But I would say that in general, always my intention in using any medicine, including my art and my music, is to access the inner divine, to put it the most shortly, right? To just like silence all the bullshit and kind of just like get to the inner being. And then from there too, it's just like, let's set an intention to connect with some guides and channel some shit, or like heal this particular wound that is alive not only inside of me, but culturally is being activated, and so it needs to be healed. And so like a psychedelic gate provides me further access point to work with that energy medicine, whatever it is that is being channeled. And then also to as precisely as possible translate that to anyone who's going to be experiencing it, whether that's seeing it or hearing it, ideally both. You'll see that in my performances. I like to mix visuals with music. It's like speaking different languages, having more access points to talk to people. So those are some of my medicines, and those are some of my whys. And I find that with the visual art in particular, no, that's not true, and music in particular too, you can also help people. It's like magic. It's like you don't even have to do the work. If you are looking at these colors and hearing this vibration, the work is being done for you. All you have to do is be there. But then also intentionally, if you're doing the work with it, it's even more powerful.
So do you find that it's a practice for you? Is it kind of a one every once in a while? Does it bubble up and you kind of have a need for it? Like, where does it fit? Where do these sort of medicinal tools come into your practice?
I would say as an artist, I really do believe in the muse, the strong spirit and voice of the muse, and really it dictates to me. And so sometimes it's in my flow where it's all day, or just kind of like I'll be walking down the street and then all of a sudden we're channeling a full song, and that's what's happening right now, and we just got to surrender to that. But I do build practices in to sharpen my creative skill. But when the true art comes through, it's just a dial for me that turns on. But it's definitely, and I think it's actually the voice underneath of like, oh, why am I picking up mushrooms today? Oh, my inner voice knows that it's connecting, it wants to connect with the muse in that capacity today.
All right, because I kind of come at it from a little bit different of an angle, that where there is a practice, there's a technology of imagination, this idea that, so I mean, a little context, I was an animator at Disney Studios for a bunch of years, and you couldn't say, oh, it's Tuesday, I don't feel like creating today. You know, like there was a sort of, a demand to be creative. I remember riding my bike to work one day, and this bus passed that was wrapped with the Hunchback of Notre Dame advertisement on it. And on the back of the bus was the scene that I had on my desk. And I hadn't finished it yet. So I was like, oh shoot, I better get to work, right? So I think that for some of us who are creatives, there's also this like deep essential practice that is a daily thing that makes of our creativity a technology. And so that to me is where the art comes in, is that there's both this banal daily activity of taking my pencil and putting it on a paper surface, and there's access in that moment to the mystic and the divine.
I definitely hear you. Even when I'm doing my voice workouts, which I ideally do every day, I can get so lost in the workout that it is just becoming a channel as well. And it's just like so boring, but I'm just like feeling God so hard. And also, like you're saying, the ritual and the skill building. And as you continue to sharpen both of those, then you allow for more, again, what I'll just say succinctly as like divine energy to come through more precisely. Right. So I also have a confession to make. I don't use psychedelics. Except for marijuana, which is a psychedelic.
Yeah, except for, I do like cannabis.
It's like, we were just talking, don't even.
No, all right, so yes. No, I am pure as the driven snow. What am I doing here? Right, no, I really like the cannabis. I have done ayahuasca a couple times. It's not my medicine. I did, here's another little story. I went to do 5-MeO-DMT with a couple of beautiful friends of mine who are, priests and guides for this sort of thing. And they set up this beautiful setting, and I was having some challenges, so this was something that some friends recommended. And then I took in the medicine, and at the moment where I was standing on the edge of everything, about to fall in, this voice comes up and says, hold on, not this again. You already know what your medicine is. And so thought about it for a minute, and I was like, oh shit, yeah, I do know what my medicine is. And so that's also an invitation in this conversation, is to think about, like, what is your medicine? And in that term, what is it that you can take as a sacrament, as an access to the sacred in your life? Like, for me, it's my sketchbook, and there's a big sketchbook on the back table over there, and I've got another one over here that if you want to have a look at, you can see that's, for me, my medicine. And so it's how I access both the banal of the everyday and the divine, the potential to connect to that divine in the moment where the pencil's on the page. So that's also a piece that I think was really salient when we were talking about it. Like, where's the sacred in our lives these days?
Yeah, I feel like that's another reason why people either consciously or unconsciously seek psychedelics and seek art all the time, is because that it is connecting us to something that feels bigger, something that feels cathartic, something that feels connecting. In other words, sacred.
Right. So if you have these tools at your access, I think that there have been mystics, enlightened people who have connected. They've connected throughout history. We've got tons of amazing stories in just about every discipline, but they come from a discipline. That discipline gives them access to a practice that allows them to be prepared for an opening when it happens. Small micro openings that happen that you go, oh, that sunset was beautiful, and oh wow, look at that shooting star, and then oh shit, I am connected to the divinity of the heavens. Like, we have lost a lot of those kind of everyday practices. And I think that that's what is exciting to me about places like this where we can have these conversations, and the idea that there is this evolution towards medicine, which is a way for us to kind of say, yeah, mystical, but without being too hippie about it, right?
Yeah, I think the benefit of living in this epoch of human history is that we have so much access. We basically have access to anything we want. And so even ayahuasca, I was just learning, I didn't know that in tradition, you don't take the ayahuasca yourself, the shaman takes it, and then you receive the medicine of the song. And that blew my mind, that is how we have, and it's actually not surprising because the trend has been from, I have all the control and information as the religion or as the church or whatever, and I'm just going to give you select things, to now, of course, what do we want? We want total access to ourselves. We don't want any gatekeepers between us and what we are seeking. And so I think there's so much beauty in that, and so much empowerment in that. And yes, there's little preparation in terms of the general culture of being able to not just integrate, but embody the expanded states of consciousness that we're accessing through these portals. And again, which we can just access through art too, for real. But especially in concert with one another, it's even more powerful. So I think that one of the medicines that we need is, in addition to the psychedelic medicine, is these communities just like this, where we have the opportunity to get curious, have conversations, prepare, have people assist us and be there for us when we do have something that is challenging that comes up, whatever it is. So I think community is medicine as well.
Yeah, I would wholeheartedly agree with that. And I think that to even throw down some context on it, we can feel another evolution, and that's an evolution of how we tell the story of the now, how we tell the story of us being humans right now, and the story is a mess right now. We don't have the wisdom as individuals to make the right decisions for the complexities that we face as a culture with all of the different machinations that are going on. But we do when we come into community. Community is a place where we can connect to that, where we can really grow a wisdom that will allow us to make better choices in the world. And here's the other evolution that I want to invite you to recognize and find your role in it. And that is this evolution from the hero's journey. We have talked about the hero's journey. It's been in our zeitgeist for 70 years now. It's amazing when we move into these medicines, it's a kind of singular journey. It becomes heroic for ourselves. But I would like to invite you to imagine what happens next. What happens after that hero's journey, after that, that calling that you reluctantly answer, and then you meet some old guy who gives you a mission, and then you go and vanquish some demon that gives you an elixir that you bring back, and you start your own garden. After our hero's journey, we can no longer go back to our own garden. It has to be a community garden. And so this is where I think communities are places where we can find our kin, where we can connect to people who share our interests. And there's something that the philosopher JoAnn Macy said that I thought was really powerful. She talks about the kindred quest. That idea that now that I've had my hero's journey, you've had your hero's journey, what are we up to?
And I really love when you said kindred, the first word I thought of was keys, and how we all have keys for each other as well. And so it's like we do the work in shaping our own codes and keys and medicines. And then when we come into community, we get to share that. And I have codes for you and you have codes for me. And that's a psychedelic exchange.
You know, we're telling a bigger story than just the story of my life. Like, what bigger story are we telling that we can all be akin in? That's where a community comes in. We're telling a story of, this community is telling a story of exploration of what are the edges of our conscious experience that we could wander towards for revelations on how to be better humans, how to make better choices, how to live more beautifully together.
Beautiful. I agree.
All right. I don't know if
I
anybody's
just want to do
keeping
a time
time.
check before we continue.
We don't have anybody in the back waving their arms. So until that happens, I don't know, Kat.
Just keep breathing, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, do we want? Are there any questions? Do we want to maybe take a question or something like that?
Restate it.
Yeah, sure. So, like, what is a psychedelic? So, just to kind of create some context, like, what's art? We kind of know what that is, but what is a psychedelic? And again, this is not definitive. This is just us kind of riffing so that we have a kind of common ground to stand on. And the idea that psychedelics is a tool we might use to engage or explore non-ordinary experiences.
And I would specifically state to explore consciousness, and I would almost use it as say expand consciousness, but I do think that there are people who may have an experience with psychedelics and be in resistance to that, and so may not be able to expand in that moment, but regardless, you're definitely exploring consciousness.
Right, and the definition doesn't necessarily include chemically altered states. Or, like...
Sure, I mean, you can get there through breath work, through meditation, through art, through, it is, again, it's just whatever tool.
And wide open to expansions on that definition, because, psychedelics has been around for a while also as a term. How does it apply today? How are we using it here at 216? It might be a little bit different. I didn't have marijuana in my definition of psychedelics. Is it?
It definitely is.
All right, great. All right, so we'll wrap this up. All right, so I think that for me, what I'd like to just sort of finish with is the idea that your medicine is your access to your daily sacred. Like, what do you do daily as a practice that gets you connected to the divinity at the core of your being? And when we can live more into our beingness, then all of the other problems of subject and object, they sort of fall away. That when we can recognize that there is a isness to us, and that we can find out, there's this phrase that says, first enlightenment, first the dishes, then enlightenment, then the dishes. Right? So is that possible? Can we live lives like that where we have these extraordinary experiences that we can also fold into our daily lives? And then a sunset, a baby laughing, crazy lights on a tree that make it feel like it's breathing, and then you find out that the lights weren't there. Okay, that's cool. That's consciousness also, right? And then it's all valid as long as we are connecting more deeply with each other and what makes us human.
And I'll just summarize by saying that all of these tools are really here to help us become our most passionately living selves, our most fully embodied and in service and in joy and delight and desire. And so it's your responsibility to choose those tools with responsibility, but also with exploration in mind. Like, sometimes you just gotta try some shit and see if it works for you. But that applies to not just like psychedelic medicines like mushrooms, but also like art or dance. Like, you don't know what's going to actually like be the thing that helps you access the place that you've been trying to access, all these years or this time, or helps you anchor that on a daily basis. So whether it's daily rituals, or the medicines that are, more classified as psychedelics, like mushrooms. But not only the space for you to channel that, but then to share it with the world, because the world gets to receive that as medicine. So that process of inspiration, action, creation, sharing, the whole thing is a psychedelic experience. And then someone receiving that is a psychedelic experience. So we are just all doing psychedelics together all the time, I think.
All right, thank you so much. Kat, is it back to you?
Back to me, yo.
All right, well, without further ado,
Yeah, thank you so much.
I would like to introduce the amazing, the wonderful, the fantastic Sam Sharman.
My name is Caitlin. I'm gonna throw down some beats. Yeah. Someone give me a feeling. Just give me a mood.
Sexy. Warm. Always.
Warm and sexy.
Wait. Say less.
Going for miles and miles, just put a shape in your smile and that ass. Better give me some sex and lay it on me fast. I'll strike a masturbation here for the night in your town. So let's turn it around and get down. Whew. Okay, I'm ready. My hair is not ready.
Okay, I'm Sam Sharman, as you know. This is Caitlin Fisher. She's an amazing beatboxer and singer, and we're gonna get into it for you all. Oh, and this is my artwork that you'll see. Michael, are we queued up and ready to go? Okay, amazing. Let's roll.
Socks on and just lay here with you, falling
the sacred sexy here. We're all about embodiment, not just living it in our minds or in our psychology or in theory, but living it, being in our bravery, being in our essence, being in our vulnerability, being in our hydration. So thank you so much for having this psychedelic experience with me. Yes, please help yourself. And this next song, by the way, the first two songs are off my upcoming EP, New Love Songs. And this next song is all about the transformation of heartbreak. Heartbreak is psychedelic. That expands the shit out of our consciousness. And this song is called The Poem Might Be Over, in parentheses, but I'm not. So let's roll the track.
In the beginning it was like no hesitation. We were making love like it was creation. Had me praying for more conversations, for a cancellation. I can still feel the pulsation. All of the pain for this salvation. Bumped into me like an 808. Tasty face and waves of the way I move with grace. Yeah, we just couldn't fight it. I was laid back riding, spending money on you like a siren. It felt like lightning. Twisty muscles so tight, make you feel like a titan. Yeah, pull me into your life like God in Messiah. The poem might be over, but I'm not. I still love you on child. I still sign my love on glass. The poem might be over, but I'm not. I still love you on child. I still sign my love on glass. A soliloquy, no sympathy, a symphony with no strings to see. The synchronicity, true symmetry, like it was meant to be. Yeah, I've been writing lyrics on the train again. This season got me feeling on the train again. In my subconscious, call your name again. Blessed King, blessed be, blessed you up with this pussy. Messed me up, boy, I felt deep with the lights turn green and hands turn red. Yeah, I know your fingers miss this red. All the thoughts inside my head, you miss my bed. But I got many sides to a polygon. I'm a little party swan. My love's an axiom, but damn, we were knocking on heaven's door. Found God and more, but furthermore, I still needed to explore. Stretch my wings and learn to soar. But I feel sore, and this chorus hits like a backdoor. This chorus hits like a backdoor. Oh, 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 oh. The poem might be over, but I'm not. I still burn, still won't hide. I still say my love on the dial. The poem might be over, but I'm not. I still burn, still won't hide. I still say my love on the dial. Flex my rhythm with your blues. Find all of me and all your use. Listen to you like it's the news, like it's always news. The poem might be over, but I'm not. I still burn, still orange hot. I still shine my love on the
Thank you, my loves. It's my joy, pleasure, delight to be up with you. Performing is my favorite thing in the world besides having sex and doing psychedelics. Okay. Sometimes times all three. So, exactly, why not all three? We do. I'm just gonna give you, before I do my last song and get off the stage, right inside the entryway, there's a digital screen. That's my artwork, you'll recognize it. It has my QR code next to it. Let me tell you one of the most important ways to support independent artists. Follow their shit online, Instagram, Spotify, share their stuff.
Wait, can you say it a little louder? I don't think the people in the back heard it.
Good point.
Yeah.
My QR code's in there. Follow my Instagram, my Spotify, check out my website. This is the way for independent artists to grow. We really appreciate your support. By the way, this bitch, Caitlin Fisher, is also an independent music artist, incredible R&B angel. So check out her stuff. You'll see her linked on my page as well. All right, let me get my last drink of water, and then I got one more song for you.
So in this next track, I might need a little bit of audience participation. Are you down? Yeah, you interested? Okay, it's real simple. It's gonna be a snap. You'll know when. Just know we need your energy. We're creating community here, so we want to receive your energy just as much as we want to give ours to you. So,
Yes.
thank you.
Here we go. The magic, weaving opium, making magic, beating it up and baking the magic. My sister sipping on that classy juicy juice, you know she has it. Like to dip it, twist it, clap it, pop it like it's bubble gum until the show's done, and then some. She wants some curiosity. Sister time is sweet, rocking with my fams, with my bitches and my queens, whipping up some spells, some flowers and some trees. You know what I mean? She knows well, she's well known, she wears it well, with some nice pearls on her skin. Swear that bitches. She moved just like fire, and when they tried to divide us, we only multiplied. And baby, you can fight it, but I got my alibi. Shit, it's time that you shall abide. For the magic, time for a feminine moment, kicking and kicking habits, keeping it holy like Sabbath. And these words like a racket, pop on top my lap and get lucky like a rabbit. Same world, different planets. Pop on top my lap and get lucky like a rabbit. Same world, different planets. Same world, different planets. Like Plato said. Through wisdom, truth, and beauty. Yeah. Our souls getting mighty. Go grab somebody. Hold on to you. Here's somebody. Here's somebody. And let me hit you with that fierce femme venom in my skin tight. And I need it like a transcendental lemon. This I've given you momentum. Boy, I started now. I'm mama when I come in time. I seldom. Oh shit. Girl, I got that bitch face, but you know you're welcome. I could share some time space. We can leave it like a bedroom, sing it like a Nazi hymnal. Ain't no inside the spectrum. Gotta tell him, you're so gifted, you're so grateful. Keep receiving, you're so faithful, girl, I swear. Just one conversation with you can soothe my rain and my blues. Turn it into mystic music, my linguistic muse. Gotta tell you the truth. Good God, it's so cute. Can I be happy in love with you? In love with you. If their love language isn't poetry, come and spend some time with me. We could tangle up our energies. We could wrangle up a scandal just to set it free. I'm here for you. Can I be happy in love with you? In love with you, baby. I could go platonic on it. She could go atomic on it. We get economic on it. Goddamn, she is so iconic. Turn these bitches catatonic. It's so symphonic, so emphatic, empathetic, telepathic. Bitch, if you want it, you can have it. So emphatic, empathetic, telepathic. Bitch, if you want it, you can have it. Shit. Period. Thank you. Blast with you. Thanks so much for co-creating.
So the way that we're going to do this today is I'm actually going to read a quick little bio about these four, and right after each bio, they're going to show their art and narrate a little bit about what you're looking at. And also, their art is here, so you're going to get a whole bunch of different angles about it. First up, we have Orielle Anais. Orielle is a figurative painter and sculptor. Her work delves into the connections between the human body and nature. Her art merges realism with abstraction, evoking the natural essence of sensuality while exploring the balance of opposites and the tensions of life. Orielle is a full-time multimedia artist in Santa Barbara. Her current focus is on oil painting and mixed media sculpture, drawing inspiration from diverse cultural backgrounds and a lifelong fascination with the body's interplay with its environment. Orielle, welcome.
Thank you, Kat. It's an honor to be here.
Well, I want to give you an opportunity as just kind of an introduction to everyone to talk about a little bit about what people are seeing here.
Yeah, so you're seeing the creation process of my most recent series of work, which was kind of a landslide for me. I've never done so many pieces in such a short period of time. So I worked on 4 oil paintings, large ones that you can see inside, in about a month. That process used to take me about 6 months. So I really, this year in particular, I full-heartedly committed to my art. I cut everything out that wasn't in service to that, and the muse really started pouring through. So that's really what I connect to when I'm painting, is this quality of something outside of myself that is sourced from inside. And yeah, I'll let you enjoy it.
Thank you so much. Next up, we have Marco Pinter. Marco is an interactive media artist, creating artworks focused on the human body in motion. He's also the founder of MindClay, a mental health app utilizing art therapy, music therapy, creative writing interventions, and dance movement therapy. He founded a Museum of Sensory and Movement Experiences, a museum dedicated to interactive and media artworks. Marco has a PhD in Media Arts and Technology from UCSB and is an inventor on over 100 patents in the areas of live video technology, robotics, interactivity, and telepresence. Marco, welcome.
Thanks very much, Kat. I'm happy to be here with my fellow panelists. And the video that you'll see kind of shows my journey from large-scale artwork to what I'm doing now in the mental health space. This is some work I did with the Nashville Ballet, where they came in to a museum I was showing in, and we created a performance around these pieces. The one on the left was called Time Dilation, and this one was Thermal Gestures. So now you see how time dilation kind of evolved into part of the app that you can use on your phone, and that's a dance movement therapist, Maria, who was demonstrating that. And then Thermal Gestures actually evolved, kind of distilled down to its essence of drawing something and watching it fade away, which can be surprisingly therapeutic in the app. And then finally at the end, I'm going back to the Nashville Ballet a bit, this process where they're painting with the heat of their body and their breath, and some of the outcome of that is in my prints, which are hung on the curved wall in the back. Thanks, Kat.
Amazing, thank you. Next up, we have JoAnn Kuchera-Morin. She's a composer and a multimedia artist. Her research focuses on creative computational systems, multimodal media content, and facilities design. She uses her technique of music composition and performance to create and explore complex systems using a distributed computational platform designed much in the same way as an orchestra, where the server functions as the conductor and the clients as members of the orchestra. JoAnn, definitely tell us a little bit more about this as you're showing this art.
Thank you so much for having me here. I really appreciate you listening to me. Right now, what you're looking is a piece of my art, which is a quantum composition. It's the time-dependent Schrödinger equation, splitting a hydrogen-like atom's electron into superposition in different orbital states. Think of the electron of a hydrogen-like atom moving around the nucleus of the atom, almost like waves that are made in currents in the ocean. We put the string of intelligent agents into the equation, and you're watching the twisting and curving of the electron when it can be in different states at different times. It's really exciting to be able to work with my physicist and try to understand quantum and try to understand quantum consciousness as well. And thank all of you for coming and hearing us tonight. I appreciate it.
Making science beautiful. Right? Next, we have Carlos Grasso. He's a painter, mixed media artist, and an Argentinian native. He is known for his immersive installation Mind Tapestry series and his canvas deconstruction paintings. He has spent over 45 years abroad in France and the United States, where he's not only transitioned from a professional musician to a full-time artist, but also moved from representational art to abstraction, mixed media, installations, and conceptual art. Throughout the years, Carlos has exhibited his work in numerous museums and galleries, including the LA Art Show, the Museum of Ventura County, and the Ojai Valley Museum.
Thank you, Kat. I am a multi-discipline artist. I mostly I define myself as an explorer of mediums, visual, textures, concepts, installations. So I try to keep myself busy exploring the different mediums. And so I change every year series what I do. I don't stick especially to one medium or one form or one series. This is a continuous flow that I try to express myself through it.
Round of applause, please. We've got some very talented people here and all coming at this very differently. Right? I think a lot of us, when we think of art and psychedelics, we immediately go to maybe Alex and Allison Gray, right? Very like visionary artists. But you can actually see that psychedelics is an art is very, very broad. And what we're going to start with today is actually talking about creativity and what our definition of creativity is. Even before we get into what actually inspired your version and inspiration of art, I would love to start with you, Orielle. What is creativity to you? How do you define that for yourself?
Well, it deeply begins in the imagination and the body. To me, creativity is an outward expression of something that has not necessarily been felt in that exact form before. So it's almost taking the formless into something, into life. So there's always more than several options for something when you're thinking of it creatively. And creativity is probably the biggest hallmark of our species. If nothing else, we are creative and resilient in our creativity. So I think of it as like the thing that has brought us to where we are now. Yeah, our imagination.
Beautiful, thank you. Marco?
I always believed that everyone is creative. It's kind of a fundamental of a lot of my career and MindClay that I'm doing now. I think creativity is really out-of-the-box thinking, and it doesn't have to mean creating art. In my personal journey, I wasn't an artist for a lot of my career, and I felt the creativity burning. I tried acting for a while, I tried writing. They weren't quite hitting it, and then I had this kind of epiphany while watching a dance performance about 15 years ago. And like in the theater, I realized there's a medium for me, and then I walked out an artist.
Amazing. Who are you, JoAnn?
Well, for me, it's intuition, it's channeling. It's really channeling the spirit more than anything. I think that we all, as Marco said, and as Orielle said, we're all creative. We all have the potential to make and to dream. And we can do that together. And creativity for me is really pushing the limits beyond of what I possibly could do. But I don't think I'm doing it alone. I think I'm doing it with all of you at the same time. So thank you.
I love that. Carlos?
Well, for me, I see life as patterns, and creativity is a way of discovering new patterns of our perceptions, of our feelings, in our emotions, and everybody can do that. You see, a child is completely creative because he's exposed to a new mode of being, right? So these new patterns are the ones that will, in any area, it could be cooking, writing, painting, sculpting, video, music, is catching a glimpse of a new pattern within oneself and expressing into the medium that you're working with.
Yeah, beautiful. I just think of creativity, just pulling it down. Everything we see around here is creative. It was a thought, and then it was made manifest through then action. And so now that we understand your concepts and your definitions of creativity, I'd love to actually talk to you about what inspired you all to make the type of art that you make, because all four of you have very different approaches to what inspires you. Talk to us. I mean, we have the human form as everybody. If you haven't seen it inside, it's so beautiful. Talk to us, Orielle, about why the body?
It's probably our simplest access point to nature. Most of my work is nude, as you may see, and I've always drawn the nude form. From the moment I was able to hold a pencil, I was drawing naked stick figures, big round balls on my parents' bathroom wall. They were pleased about that. But I don't know that I could explain it, that this draw to the human form, and especially the female body, there is an innocence in nudity that we cloak ourselves. It's a way for us to hide as well as express, and I find the simplicity and the trueness and the rawness, the vulnerability of the human body is just where we are children of nature. We're children of this planet, and so in my more recent works that have been more colorful and more broad and more abstracted in color, I've been really focused on how do I call the spirit of nature into my work, and how do I bring that sense of peace and reverence for this environment that we are a part of, even though we have set ourselves apart. So my work is really about how do we find our right relationship with this world again, because that's gotten so, I don't think everything is bad. We've grown a lot, we've risen a lot as a species, but how do we now give back in a way that is congruent with the world? So, yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, thanks, Kat. For me, it's about the body as well, but in a different way. It's about kinetics and motion. And I think just about everything I do is about the body in motion. I even have an abstract kinetic piece, a robotic art piece that's showing at La Cumbre. That's two carved wooden sculptures, but they're moving and they're interacting with each other in kind of an intimate way. And the thermal gestures piece you saw, it's interesting what I saw up there. It said kinetic paintings and thermal paintings. And I never called them that. I'm like, well, no, they're thermal photography, but they are dancers painting with the heat of their body and breath. And it's always, I think, I actually don't see the thread sometimes, and then, a friend will say, oh, well, yeah, that piece and that piece, they're all about the same thing. Yeah.
It's beautiful because both of you are talking about just the celebration of what is. This is our bodies. It brings it back to not taking for granted this form that we have, this magical vehicle. JoAnn, what about you?
And I'm glad to listen to both of you because I have to think about that, because for me, I've never been attached. Ever since I was 5, I knew I really wasn't a solid being. I've always been looking for the particle moving faster than the speed of light and thinking more about spirit than anything else. And I really think that it's time that I do ground myself and I do acknowledge that we are all in our little bodies and we're doing what we need to do. But it's been a very interesting, very unique life. Let's just put it that way.
Welcome to Earth. Carlos?
Yeah, well, I think it is a way for me of know myself, explore myself, explore the self, and explore the world, and explore and transcend myself and the world. It's my way. It's my way of connecting also, because everything is connected, but somehow we have to live it. Our bag of bones are a little bit limited, but if we transcend that, then we go behind all the other bag of bones and we encounter this dimension that actually it's one. And that's my journey through art. That's what I want to. I use it as a tool for that exploration of myself, the world, and the transcendental. Yeah.
Beautiful. It's like we kind of have like Earth here, and then we're just like keep going into, the formless as we go. I'm just kidding.
We're very balanced all together.
All right. This was not on accident or on purpose, and don't worry about it. All right. JoAnn, you've mentioned that art can shift us into higher states of minds and a space specifically of compassion when we were talking. Can you talk about how your work actually does that for you?
Yeah, I think again, it's the process. I think it's the process that even Carlos keeps mentioning, that what we do is when we start working on something, it happens to all of us. We get so focused, we get so concentrated in what we're doing, we go into these, what I call these not thought states of awareness. And when we're in these not thought states of awareness, we come back and there's all this stuff that we've done, that we've written, that we don't remember doing. We don't remember where we were. And I think the more that we do that, we start to realize that we're connected to a higher level of consciousness, which means we're connecting with many different entities at the same time. And that's when I think the compassion comes in. Because if you start to realize that, then you realize that you're all a part of the same thing. So it's kind of like that process for me, I guess.
That's actually a really nice segue into this idea of art and the psychedelic mindset. Art and psychedelics share pushing boundaries, seeing from new perspectives, getting us into flow states. And I guess maybe we bring it a little practical and say, first, this is a question for all of you, have you worked with psychedelics? And has that affected your art, whether directly or indirectly? Orielle?
I have extensive experience in psychedelics, and for me, it's a very, very, very physical experience. Like the experience of everything, it cycles through my body. So it is not helpful for me to do psychedelics when I'm more enchanted by my pencil than what I'm trying to make and the experience of holding a pencil. And it's almost like I'm brought to the innocence of an infant with the mobility of a 32-year-old, sorry. And so for me, they don't go hand in hand, but my experience of life is absolutely influenced by the state of pure presence and awareness that psychedelics have gifted me with. And because of my repeated explorations, I can tap into that state without anything now. I was having a psychedelic experience with the music here and the lights and the people and the warmth of the bodies next to me, and everything just slowed down, and I was so grateful for that. It's steeped in me now, and I think for me, it's just access to what is already here.
Yeah, well said. Marco, have you dabbled?
It's interesting. If I had answered that question an hour ago, I would have said, yes, I dabbled, and I would say I can't really put my finger on how, but it's definitely affected me. However, I just learned that cannabis is considered a psychedelic. So now I can say there have been a couple moments, like I had a piece that I really enjoyed that I was working on. There was something that wasn't quite there, and then I had a moment and I saw it, on apparently a psychedelic, and that was what it took to finish it.
Interesting, a cannabis experience. Okay, right on. JoAnn?
Well, for me, it's always been just my focusing on what I was doing insofar as my work is concerned. Of course, I'm a child of the 60s, so if there was any experimentation, it was way, way a long time ago, maybe 50 or 55 years ago. But now it's mainly just kind of doing this push to opening consciousness when I'm working. So.
Well, guys, I do believe that life is a psychedelic experience. So sometimes I use psychedelics to bring me back to Earth, mostly. And there is this aspect of course, altering perceptions that for an artist also brings new ways of connecting with the so-called matter. That is also mental, but I do use psychedelics, my art, especially, mushrooms, I have to be careful because I have a condition that doesn't allow me to take certain things. But
She's out of her mind.
yeah.
I was gonna say, a lot of your art almost has that geometric, psychedelic vibe. Does some of your inspiration quite literally come from visionary states, or is that just kind of, that's what comes through and it's not something you necessarily saw?
Right. No, well, you know, and this is that 2 or 3 years ago, before I was more action painting and mixed media, crazy things. But the mottos of my art is get out of your own way. The less you are there thinking about you are doing something, the more it flows. And sometimes I go to someone that maybe bought 118 or something. I said, I couldn't connect with that. I said, did I do that? It's interesting. It's very interesting. It's like,
I've heard that quite a bit. Or channeling art, where we're going to talk about flow state, actually. And maybe this is a good opportunity to talk about that, because I think flow state is something that obviously artists experience, but also in our life, in our work, if you're an athlete, if you're whatever you're doing, right? And get lost in time and suddenly it's thoughtless. And I'm curious, what are some of the ways that you guys get into flow state? Any of you can jump in if you have any tips or tools to help you get into the state, or is it just grace? Is it just suddenly like, and now you're in?
Is dancing.
Yeah.
For me, it's all about music and dancing and remembering that I'm enjoying myself and enjoying life, because it, like, the mind getting in the way is the mind. So I gotta do something to get my mind out of the way. Go for a run, lift some weights, dance, scream. I don't care. Just whatever I need to do to get into my body in that moment consistently. And also, don't worry about it. It's gonna be hard. So embrace it. So the surrender aspect.
It's starting, right? Like we were talking about. It's just sometimes it's like the first word or the first thing. It's just like
looking at a blank canvas is terrifying.
Yeah.
It's terrifying because the way I work, I can't go back. I can't erase something. I can't paint over it. I can't redo a face if I need to. I have to start everything from scratch. So every mark I put on the canvas is permanent.
Oh God.
So
have you just like stared at it for like 2 hours? You're like,
that staring is actually a critical part of the process.
Of course, okay.
Like I can't be painting the whole time. 90% of the work happens off the canvas. Looking, observing, looking at the color, looking at my own body for reference, thinking about the patterns I want to incorporate in the flesh, mixing. It's all of that presence and being aware, and then finally when you're able to act, the moment happens and you do it.
yeah, cool.
You know, Kat, when you're passionate about something, when you love what you're doing, cooking, running, painting, writing, you access that flow state. It's so wonderful to see, for example, a dancer here singing and dancing and giving herself to everything. And you can feel that energy, right? Because that's the flow state. You disappear. Your ego is kind of, if it went somewhere else. And then there is the universe expressing itself in this form, manifesting this form. Right? That's the flow state for me.
Any other things you want to add to how you get into it?
For my work, the flow state is really in the conceptualization, because maybe like JoAnn's, the actual execution of it is very technical and involves programming. But I definitely, I need to be in that state, and I don't expect it. And probably 2/3 of my large pieces, the idea came while watching a professional dance performance or in a movement workshop. Not dancing in a club, but in a workshop where you're actually kind of pushed to explore different types of movement. And so I always have to keep a journal, and like when I go to a performance at the Granada, I have to have a pencil paper in my pocket.
Oh, cool.
for me, because I'm a composer, the compositional process is really, we compose out of time, and it's a process of, as Marco's talking about, sketching and actually, planning the work. I think the computational platform has been one of the most distressing and defeating aspects of the flow state, because it's really difficult when you try to move from, pencil and paper to the computer to try to get it to do what you want it to do. But it's really interesting when you're in that sketching side, and when you're just really so into exactly working on this thing, and you just don't even realize, as Kat was saying, there's time just goes by, hours, and there's things that you don't ever remember writing that you wrote. So it's a pretty neat place to be. But I think, as Carlos said, it happens when you run, it happens when you dance, it happens when you cook, it happens when you play. It's just the way that we actually become more than what we are, I guess.
You were mentioning difficulty. I'm going to jump around a little bit. I'll come back to the questions, but it's a nice time, I think, to talk about imposter syndrome, right? Because sometimes, like you're saying, like the first stroke or the actual technical aspect, like the idea comes in, but then the actual execution of it can sometimes be a challenge in and of itself. How do you experience imposter syndrome, one, and how do you work with it? How do you kind of get out of your own way and say, I have a place and a right to be here to create? Any of you can take it, whoever feels inspired right now.
I definitely experienced that in a few ways. I mean, first of all, I came to be an artist a little later. It wasn't part of my training. And then I'm obviously working in a very non-traditional form, like JoAnn. And in fact, if it wasn't clear, the program I graduated from is the one JoAnn is a professor in. And yes, it's all about very non-traditional forms. So there's judgment in certain areas around that. That's not art, that's not a painting, that's not a piece of sculpture. And also the themes I deal with are not overtly political, social, cultural, and a lot of shows and critics are less interested in that. But I have to say, probably fewer people are in my mind. I'm probably imagining that a lot more than it actually exists.
Anyone else, imposter syndrome?
No.
I mean, I see the breadth of work here. I'd be like, yeah, that's pretty cool. Like, I don't know. It's objectively awesome.
No comment.
It hurts too much.
Yeah.
I mean, I think imposter syndrome is pervasive amongst every human being doing anything worthwhile. I don't know a single person who hasn't gone through waves of it at every stage of their career. I go through it every single painting. There's this process that but the trick with it is you do it anyway. So that's what I've learned, is that in every single painting, it's like this arc that I've come to expect of, oh, this is really scary, I don't know if I can do it. Oh, that's pretty cool. Oh my God, I'm amazing. I'm the next Michelangelo. Oh, I'm trash. Like, the process is really remarkable, especially when building up a figure, because you're not able to find the depth and the form immediately. It's in my mind, sort of, but the process, it always goes through an ugly duckling phase. And when it's that ugly duckling phase, I'm the ugly duckling. It's like I can't separate the art from myself. They are one and the same. And when my art feels like garbage, I feel like garbage, and I don't feel like I even have the right to exist. So that process, what I've learned is it's like this final wall of resistance towards something greater. And so every piece that I allow myself to move through that, instead of be constricted by it, something cracks inevitably within me. And I grow as my painting evolves, or as my sculpture evolves. Like, I am being created as I'm creating. So for me, the imposter syndrome is almost something I've learned to look forward to.
Well, I think it actually goes with the question that I want to ask you, which is, you talk about submitting and letting art flow through you. And I feel like this is kind of what I'm listening to, is there is a submitting process to even the resistance that you're feeling and the hardship of it. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I experienced the muse as a tsunami. Like, she when I'm not in the flow of accepting this creative energy within me, it kind of suffocates me and drowns me in my own humanness. So I experience the most levity as a person and correctness as a person when I'm consistently creating. And when I'm not creating, it's like, she's like, hello, I'm here. You're not letting me in, so I'm just gonna build up against your door until it breaks. However that crack happens. So for me, surrender is a process of submission. And in that submission, my whole system relaxes because I'm no longer questioning whether or not I'm an artist or whether or not my painting is deemed worthy by someone else or my own mind or the criticisms of this world. Like I am just here allowing it to move. And it's why I'm here on this planet.
It's beautiful. So many of us, I think, get in our own way. And the judgment and the self-critic is so hard in anything that we do that we stop ourselves. And what I'm hearing from you is so much about the growth. And I think it's also the growth of the soul in many ways, right? Like to push through hard things, especially when we want to give up, to keep going anyway. No matter how it turns out, I feel like is kind of how our character gets shaped to become that diamond in the rough. And that's what I'm hearing through the process. And
no, if you don't mind, I would like to introduce a topic here, the therapeutic side of artistic, endeavor, because we all have a shadow, we all have this subconscious, and there is a way to connect with that usually we do not. It's painful, must be painful at times to just the vision of that energy, right? That energy that consumes, in a way. And art, in many aspects, is the transformation of those energies that we are most of the time pushing down the basement or under the carpet and whatnot. So, and you can see, sometimes you see the work of a certain artist, and definitely you can see that in that period he was taking art as the shriek, just row until everything gets dissolved in a way, and then something else can look up instead of look down. That is also a process, right? So yeah, I love that. And you can absolutely see it in art. You can see it how people, like where they're at in their life. You can hear it in music. If you have musicians that you follow, you're like, ooh, this album was a little darker, or this one is pipe. You could feel the pain being transmuted into something beautiful. And I think this is a really nice segue, thank you for mentioning that, into what you do with MindClay, right? Which is using art quite literally for mental health. Can you talk a little bit about exactly what are you doing at MindClay and what inspired you to do it?
Yeah, it was me really witnessing the power of art, interactive art on the audience who's experiencing it that led me in this direction. So the museum that I founded, which is in La Cumbre, there's a couple pieces there. First of all, one is actually that I curated is by Dave Zaboski, who was on the stage before, and Alan Macy and their team. And it's called Heart Space, and people go up and they hold it, and it's biosensing, and they experience their heartbeat visually and with vibration, and their people they know can stand around them and feel their heartbeat through them. So it's very much like exposing and sharing like your heart with the community. I also have my own piece there called Fluid Connections, that you see your silhouette. We were talking about silhouettes earlier, but then your arms and head start flowing out, like extending into space. And if two people are near each other but not touching, they'll share a limb between them. And then I've heard people say, did you feel that? Like they feel something when that happens. I've also seen two strangers accidentally end up on each side, and they get connected and they get very uncomfortable, which I love. With all that, MindClay is taking, there's a lot of evidence-based research around this, the power of this. Carl Jung actually started like 180 or 80 years ago, having his patients create mandalas. And you can look at these beautiful paintings that the patients made. And then there's been I learn a lot working with art therapists and music therapists and movement therapists. And so that's the idea. Meditation isn't for everyone. It's like contraindicated or ineffective for at least a third of people, but they can kind of find mindfulness through art and artistic techniques.
Wow, that is so cool. It just reminds me of like the Phantom Limb thing. I just like, it's still, I don't know. It's crawling.
Oh yeah, I can go on them.
Oh, really?
I think that's a huge inspiration, and I kind of believe that's an art piece, even though it wasn't intended as an art piece. And can I explain it for a second? So this work was done just less than 25 years ago for amputees experiencing phantom limb pain. I assume that's what you're talking about. And they've been having it for decades, and it was discovered almost by accident, this visual somatic setup with mirrors. So they're asked to, over a period of time, put their hands out and clench them and release them. And for some of them, it cures their pain for life. A visual experience. And, or at least it lessens it. But for some, it completely cures it. So there's this kind of like a psychedelic experience. There's a rewiring that happens. And I hope to find that rewiring in other things. And that setup, they're not calling it art, but that's an art installation.
Exactly. Wow, that's amazing.
This museum is amazing, by the way.
Oh, okay. Well, we're gonna. I would love for you to talk about that actually as we close. We have time for one more question, then we're gonna open it up for questions with the audience. And I'd love to just bring it back to something practical now. What is an artist tip, thank you, that everyone in the audience can use and apply to their own life?
Pay attention to what you're doing.
And be in the flow.
Okay. Marco, and feel free to talk about also your...
I don't know. I'll just 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So it's a mental health technique or whatever, wellness. If you're feeling anxious, stop. Notice 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, 1 thing you can taste.
I love all of this, so I'll go a little bit broader and say that behind every single great piece of art is a life. So the human life is really the masterpiece, and treating everything in your life as if it is art, because artists literally make paintings of garbage on the side of the road, and it becomes something precious that we keep in our homes. So just that metabolization that everything around us is art.
First of all, can we just get a quick round of applause for this incredible panel? I'm going to open it up for questions. Does anyone have a question for our panelists about the process, anything that they heard today? Okay, we got one in the front.
Right here. This may be a little bit cliche that we're talking about art, and as we drew to a close, one thing I started thinking about was artificial intelligence and just how it's sort of, very quickly flooding a lot of social spaces, and sort of, from what I understand, it's algorithmic. It gathers the art of people and repurposes it in a digital framework. But I think about the word art or the term artificial intelligence, and the first thing that popped into my mind was it starts with the term art. Like artificial intelligence starts with art, just in a different capacity. So I guess my question would be is, in what ways do you all as individuals think it will be possible to keep the human aspect in it? Because artificial intelligence, like I said, it just pulls the art that you make and reformats it. I think it can be useful, but how do we not get lost in the sauce and keep the human element of art and the way technology is constantly pushing forward?
I can answer that. I think we really need to know what we're doing under the hood. We need to be able to maintain control. It should not be something that we allow to take over us, but we can use it, to inform us in a certain way. But we really have to get in my personal opinion, away from the black box and away from the big corporate powers that are like controlling AI and giving us our little AI agents to tell us how to live our life. I think that we just need to know what we're doing when we use AI. That's my personal belief.
I would also say I think it's going to call us into extreme awareness of where we are in ourselves and our beings, because no matter where AI goes, it will never be biological in the way that we are biological. And part of art, to me, that AI will never replace is the fact that we're definitively flawed. And in those flaws is where the beauty lives. Maybe AI will be able to replicate that someday, and I don't doubt that it will make art that surpasses my own skill set very soon. Maybe not in my lifetime, but to me, just remembering that there is an essence inside the human experience that can't be replicated. But I also think that consciousness in AI is going to evolve much more quickly than we think. So it's a new frontier, and staying anchored into your own aliveness, whatever that means to you, I think that's going to be our way forward. And a lot of people are going to get very confused by it.
We already are.
Yep.
Before we end this panel, I'd love for each of you to go down the line and talk about where can people find you online, where can they see your work, how can they celebrate you, how can they support you. Carlos, why don't we start with you?
Sure, I have a website and an Instagram. Is my name, Carlos Grasso, CarlosGrasso.com. And that's the way. Look at the sky, you will find it.
There he is. Look at this beautiful moon behind us. Oh my God. Like, that's art. Nature's art. JoAnn?
In my instrument, allosphere, A-L-L-O sphere. That's how you can find me.
Thanks for the plug earlier about the museum, Orielle. So La Cumbre Plaza, Museum of Sensory and Movement Experiences. It's not just my art, like I said, Dave, Alan, and then the app. Download MindClay and start using it. You'll feel better.
And you can find me on my website, Instagram. Please follow me on Instagram and join my newsletter. You can find my website's my name, Orielle Anais. If you go inside to the left between two paintings, you'll see two QR codes. One goes to a shop link page, and another goes to a links where you can follow the newsletter, find my Instagram, all that good stuff. But if nothing else, everything is under my name, Orielle Anais.
And again, my name is Kat Walsh. Trip on This is my psychedelic podcast.
Yeah.
I have just, season 4 just came to a conclusion. It's really exciting. So if you want to catch up on all of season 4 and everything else before that, you have 92 episodes, do so. And my other podcast, Life with Kat Walsh, is going to be coming out next week. My second season on that, just more of a personal journal style podcast about just living your life intuitively and differently and kind of in a crazy way for a lot of people would probably think, and just kind of charting that as I go. And Life with Kat Walsh everywhere.com on Instagram. And I will be here actually at District216 speaking on the other side of it. I believe it's on 12/4, but I'll be doing one of the Wednesday talks, just, like I was mentioning, talking about just living life radically different than I think the world would say. As my dad said, most of the world thinks in dollars and cents, as in SENSE, and what does it look like to trust in the unseen just as much as what we can see with our eyes. So with that, thank you all so much. One more round of applause for our panelists.
Thank you.